Hey, everybody. This is the second week of our study in the book of Devarim, which means words. It's also called in English Deuteronomy, but that comes from the ancient Greek Deuteronomion, which means second law. Why is it called second law? Because it is somewhat of a repetition of what we've already studied in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Um, it's a This whole book is really a speech that was made by Moses to the children of Israel before they were about to cross over Jordan. They've traveled through the wilderness for their 40 years, and Moses is not going to be going with them. He's going to be dying. And he wrote this recap in about a month. And so that's why there's some repetition, some good reinforcement, and some new material. So let's get into it. So here we are, Moses reminding the people how they were led to bypass the land of Seir and Moab as they were given to Esau and Lot. He's reminding, and the people he's reminding, the children of Israel in front of him, they're really like when they came out of Egypt, they either were not born yet or they were just little children. But all those that were 20 years old to 50 years old of that generation that went with the 10 spies that gave an evil report of the land they were about to take after the just being 1 year in the wilderness, um, they've all passed away. And Moses reminds them of this. And he says, Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And Yahweh spake unto me, We compassed Mount Seir many days. Now I'm not sure what this means. They compassed. Did they travel around it many days or just camp or just by it, compassed it? But Yahweh said, You've compassed this mountain long enough. Go north. And he commanded the people, Ye are to pass through the coast of your brothers, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, particularly the northern part, and they shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore. Don't mess with them, for I'm not going to give you their land, no, not so much as a footbreadth, because I've given Mount Seir unto Esau for possession. Ye shall buy meat from them. You can do commerce with them, but and buy water and food, but that's all you're going to do with them. For Yahweh Eleheka, that's Hebrew for the Lord your God, hath blessed thee in all the works of thy hand. He knows thy walking through this great wilderness, these 40 years through Yahweh Eleheka uh, Yahweh Eleheka hath been with you. Thou hast lacked nothing. And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, and dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain, from Elat and from Itzion Gaber. Now, I don't know why there's a space there, but in every Hebrew Torah scroll, there's a space. You know, when you're writing, you can't get voice inflection or much emotion. You're limited to the words you can use, and we use punctuation, exclamation points, and we use emoticons now, smiley faces and frowning faces. But they didn't have that in writing Hebrew. So this is one thing that they would do. They would create a space, and it's kind of like um, you're to pause and think about this for a minute, or recollect and go back and read it again and ponder it. So that's why occasionally you see spaces. I'll write the word space where in a Torah scroll there's space. Now you don't see that in an English Bible. We turned and passed by the way the wilderness of Moab. Now, you've heard of the Moabites. Here's the kingdom of Moab. It's on the eastern side of the Dead Sea. The Edomites were here. The Moabites were here. The Ammonites and the Amalekites. There were three groups of people that were primarily the largest enemies of children of Israel: the Moabites, the Ammonites, and the Amalekites. Now, the word Moab, it comes from, it's the original Moab, from which the Moabites are called, was one of the sons of Lot that he gave, that he was birthed by his daughter. You know, when Lot came out of Sodom, his wife turned her pillar of salt, and they were in a cave, and his two daughters, they must have thought that they were the end of civilization. We're going to repopulate the world. And the older one said, "Let's get dad drunk and we're going to have sex with him, and so we can conceive and have a child." Because people speculate on why they felt this need to, either the society, if they thought there were other people, that they would be doomed if they didn't have any progeny and any children. And they were willing to, there were no prospects of marriage with just them and their dad. Also, they came from a very wicked land, so their moral compass was not very good. Whatever happened, they did a wicked thing, and Lot participated in this. And the two sons that were born by his two daughters, one was called Moab, which in Hebrew Ab, you see Abba father, Av, the B and the V are sometimes interchangeable. Ma'av Ma means what? Ma'av means what daddy, what dad. Mo means who is my dad? Moabite. Who is my father? Is what Moab means. It was unusual that Moab's father was his mother's father. And the other daughter had a son named Ben Ami, which means son of my people, son of my own people. But Yahweh said unto me, distress not the Moabites, don't contend with them in battle, for I'm not giving you their land for possession. I've given Ar unto the children of Lot for possession. So just don't mess with those Moabites. So they went around this way and start moving to the north. They're eventually going to get up here to the top of the Dead Sea and cross over there. You see Jericho. When they cross the River Jordan, Joshua is now the leader, and the Israelites will fight the Battle of Jericho. Lastly, Moses reminds the people how they were victorious over the giants in the land of King Sihon and Og. Now, here's some English transliterations for what we call giants. Well, we say giants, they were called in the Bible Emims, Anakims, Zamzumines, and Nephilim. You're probably familiar with the word Nephilim. The Emims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims, which were also accounted giants as the Anakims. But the Moabites called them Emims. It's all the same but different names. The Horims also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them when they had destroyed them from before them and dwelt in their stead. And Israel did unto the land of his possession, which Yahweh gave unto them. This was just a definition behind my picture here of an Emim. It was the Moabite name for one of the tribes of the Rephaim, described in Deuteronomy chapter 2. Powerful people. They were defeated by the Moabites who occupied their land. Their name is translated as the dreaded ones. But you'll notice that the children of Israel were given victory over all of these people. Either they were told, don't mess with them and just skirt by their land, or if they were told to fight any of them, God gave them the ability to defeat all of them. And we'll see that. Now rise up, said I, and get you over the brook Zered. Here's Zered. You see the word wadi. This is the, I can't read that, Artian Wadi. Remember when I went to Israel, I learned the word wadi. It's just a word, Hebrew word, that basically means like a gully, or you could say it's a river, but in the dry season it's just a gully. It's a valley. In the rainy season they can flood, and so you can remember by that by singing "Wade in the Wadi," perhaps. But they went over these two wadis as they're heading north. Here's the land of the Moabites. And they get up in the land of the Amorites. Thou art to pass over through Ar. I'm not sure, Ar, who those people are. the coast of the border of Moab this day. So the AR was around here somewhere, and that might have something to do with this Artion Wadi. Um, yes. And when thou comest nigh over against the children of Ammon, the Ammonites, distress them not. Don't mess with them, for I will not give you their land. There's no sense going to war with them to take their land. I'm not giving you their land. I'm letting them keep this land because they're children of Lot, for they have it for possession. That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwelt there in an old time, and the Ammonites called them Zamzumims, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims, but Yahweh destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead. Now look at that. Yahweh destroyed them before them. They didn't have to worry about all of these giants. You know, it makes me think when the children of Israel first went up to spy out the land of Canaan, and the 10 spies came back with evil reports. Oh, there are giants in the land. We'll be killed. We can't take them. Well, I think that Yahweh would have taken care of those giants and destroyed them for them. He was bringing his children to the promised land. He was not going to let them be defeated. They were just displaying their lack of trust when they said, we're fearful of these giants. These giants might conquer us and our God be unable to help us. That's why they were sentenced to 40 years in the wilderness, wandering 1 year for each day they went up and spied out the land. And until that generation of doubters had died. And so now they're amongst a land of jolly mean giants, and they belong to the Rephaim, who inhabited the country afterwards occupied by the Ammonites. It's been conjectured that they might be also called Hamzuzims, because if they were of the descendants of Ham, they were in the southern part. And it says of Ashtaroth. Well, let me ask you this question. After 38 years of wandering in the wilderness, giants seem to be everywhere as the children of Israel are getting closer to the promised land. Are these giants any different from the ones the 12 spies saw, resulting in the 10 spies fearing to take the land? I don't think they were really any different. They were tall. They had a reputation. What is the difference now at this point that the children of Israel encounter these giants? They don't seem to be afraid of them. That's not their objection about going into the land where they're giants. Notice that Yahweh protected them from these giants as they were told not to mess with them. These are the children of the ones that feared the giants going into Canaan. Maybe they learned from their parents. I hope they did, as we should all learn from the mistakes of our forebears and our parents, and our faith should get stronger. We hope that our children will not fear things that we fear, that they will trust in the Lord their God stronger than we did. And so that's kind of what's happening here. Okay, I want us to talk a little bit about giants, Nephilim, Zamzumins, whatever you call them. But these are skeletal figures that are actual. These were found and discovered, and these are just a few of giant human remains unearthed and documented in historical records, along with the historical accounts of Goliath. Now, we all know about Goliath. He had three brothers. As big as he was, not a fairy tale. Og, king of Bashan, had a bed 13 and a half feet long. He was pretty tall. And Maximus Thrax is one of the Caesars of Rome. Matter of fact, here he is, 8 feet 6 inches. That's how tall Maximus Thrax was. Now here's the present day man is about 6 feet. And look at these dates. 1950s in Turkey was unearthed a 15-foot skeleton. But look at the size of these, 23. These were in France. This was in Lucerne, Switzerland. Um, Almost 20 feet tall. But look at this one. Not sure of the date of this one. The Carthaginians uncovered two this size, two skeletal remains about 36 feet tall. An earthquake in Simorian Bosphorus uncovered one more than this one. So this is fascinating to look at. It's like, why don't we hear about this? It's like our culture wants to deny that there were ever people this tall, because if we admit that this was real, then the story of Goliath is suddenly very, very possible, where people say, "Oh, there's no such thing as a big giant." Now, I looked at this little emblem. You probably couldn't see it. It said Mount Blanco, and it said Institute of Omniology, and I had to look that up. I didn't know what it was. An omniologist is one who studies everything. Omni studies everything and specializes in omniology. Well, you got to be a little more specific than that. Omniology, the open minded, unrestricted application of academic freedom in science. So it's more inclusive of looking at science and religion together. The science that deals with objective examination and evaluation of all theories of origins, like creation, which I believe is creation fact. Evolution is a theory. The study and comparison of creation and evolution is part of omniology, also called philosophical omniology, the study of the religious nature of all theories of origins and their effects on man. So that's why, like I said, the study of these skeletal remains, if you open the door for realizing the validity of these giant remains, then you realize there's a lot of unanswered questions about our past. And when the Bible talks about Nephilim and giants, fallen angels, coming and mating with earthly women and producing Nephilim, well, all that is true. Here's a top 10 giant discoveries just in North America from 10 to 1. Here's average 6 foot height. But these, look at this, Ohio, Virginia, Iowa, these are over 7 feet. Well, we say, well, it's not too unusual. You got basketball players that are that tall, but almost 8 feet start getting very unusual. Ohio, California, 8'4", 9'2", number 4 right here, 9'2", 10 foot in Arkansas, 12 foot in California, 18 feet in Pennsylvania. Wow. So giants are on record. Here's an actual photograph. This is not manufactured or faked. This looks like a mummified body, but this person, if these are anywhere between 5.5 to 6 feet tall, this one's about 9 feet tall, probably. As as he did to the children of Esau which dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the Horites from before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead even to this day. And the Avims which dwelt in this place and that place, and he destroyed them all. Rise ye up, take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Behold, I have given into thine hand Sihon the Amorite. So they went through the Moabites and the what was the next group of people? The Moabites and the Edomites, the Moabites, and the Ammonites. He said, "Come up here." And Sihon, they're being told that they are going to do battle with him, and you'll see that how he retells the story. And as they began to possess and contend with him in battle. This day will I begin to put the dread of you and the fear of you upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of thee, and they shall tremble and be in anguish because of thee. These children of Israel had a reputation coming out of Egypt because of what happened with crossing the Red Sea and drowning the Egyptian army. They had a reputation, but that was 40 years ago. And so the Yahweh is reinforcing their power and their strength to be a source of fear and anguish amongst the other nations they would encounter. But this Sihon king was going to be like Pharaoh and just harden his heart against the children of Israel. And so Moses sent messengers to Sihon and just said, "Hey, let me pass through your land. I will go the highway. I'll neither turn to the right nor to the left, and look, we'll be good commerce for you. We'll buy food and water." But Sihon, the king of Heshbon, would not let us pass. Israel offered peace to Sihon, but he refused. For Yahweh Eloheka hardened his heart, just kind of like it said with Pharaoh, God hardened his heart. Um, and made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him into thy hand, as appeareth this day. And Yahweh said unto me, Behold, I've begun to give in Sihon and his land before you to possess it, that thou mayest inherit his land. But then Sihon comes out against us, he and all his people, to fight at Jahaz. And Yahweh Eloheinu, that's the Lord our God, delivered him before us, and we smote him and his sons and all his people. This land was on the east side of the Jordan River. Now, I just want to remind you that Moses, they were already in the promised land. That's why he's going to give them this land. It was the promised land. It wasn't the right timing for them to have the land of Moab. But even though um, Moses wanted to cross the Jordan but was denied, he was saying, "Oh, I want to go into that good land." Well, he was in the promised land. He just wasn't allowed to cross over Jordan. Sihon should have taken Israel's peace offering because they smote them severely. And we took all the cities and destroyed all the men, women, and little ones of every city. We left none to remain. Only the cattle we took for prey unto ourselves. This is a hard word for us to hear. When the children of Israel were told to go fight against these people and utterly destroy them, the men, the women, and the children. Wow, people want to only hear the all-merciful, loving God who seemingly tolerates wickedness. Remember, these were very wicked people, pagan worshiping, wicked people. Um, they were on the path of what Sodom and Gomorrah was. Sodom and Gomorrah just got there a little quicker. Remember when Yah destroyed all living things, like in the flood? Remember that they were young and old. They were animals, they're birds, except for 8 people in the flood. There were children, innocent children who drowned. So how do you process all the killing of the non-chosen pagan cultures in the Bible? We look back at the flood, say, well, man had gotten so wicked, and we just say man, mankind. It's men, women, and children. That God said, well, I created you. I'm going to now take you all out. And we tend to feel like, well, God, that's not fair. Who are we to tell God what he can and cannot do? We must remind ourselves that none of us deserve to even be breathing right now. None of us deserve life. It's only by his grace that we are living and that we have an opportunity to escape eternal damnation that Jesus spoke of by uh, becoming his followers. If any man wants to come after me, let him take up his cross, deny himself, and come after me. This is the gospel message. This is how we can be saved from destruction. But we don't like to hear about God destroying. People always just like the all merciful, loving God, seemingly more merciful and loving in the New Testament. We tend to overlook things like Ananias and Sapphira that God struck down because they lied to the disciples. So it's something to ponder. That's why I can't really answer this question for you. How do you process all the killing of the non-chosen? It doesn't shake my faith. This is one of the tools that people against God or atheists or against you might come and say, oh, your God is all for genocide of people. Just read your own history in your Bibles. Like, nah. We know what your Bible says about God destroying people. What a horrible, horrible God you must have. Well, they're reading it from the wrong perspective, and they're reading someone else's mail, because we read it from the perspective of, God, you are our God. We just want to follow you. You tell us what to do. Help us to be obedient. We love you and will follow you, and we are convinced that great is your faithfulness, and our faith will only grow stronger as the days go by. From Aroer, how do you say that, which is by the brink of the river Arnon, and from the city that is by the river, even unto Gilead, there was not one city too strong for us. Israel did not indiscriminately just try to kill everyone in their path. They obeyed Yah and fought against the ones that Yah instructed them to destroy. Some were spared by Yah's command. Only unto the land of the children of Ammon that you came not, nor unto the place of the river Jabbok, nor unto the cities of the mountains, nor unto whatsoever Yahweh Eloheinu forbade us. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us. And here's the confirmation that Yahweh had indeed instructed and approved of what the Israelites did to Sihon, because he's telling them to do the same thing to Og. He said, "Thou shalt do unto him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites." Yahweh Elohim delivered into our hands Og, king of Bashan, and all his people, and we smote him until none was left to him remaining. It's just amazing to me that the Israelites, they were such a strong, formidable force militarily. They've been in the desert wandering for so long. They weren't career soldiers. They didn't have Fort Jackson to go train all their soldiers and the richest army in the world. No, but they had the power of Yahweh on their side that gave them the victories over their foes. One of Og's cities was Ashtoreth. And I just bring this up, kind of an aside here, because Ashtoreth was a fertility goddess, and the worship implemented Ashtoreth poles. So that's why a lot of these elongated, they might be a figure of Ashtoreth, but even just if they had a pole or an Ashtoreth tree, they let that be the symbol of their fertility goddess. It's interesting that years later the Israelites fell into the same pagan worship practice of a people they had once conquered. But it's also interesting that the church, since Constantine's rule in like 300 AD, also has maintained a name connection with Ashtoreth worship. Ashtoreth is also called Ishtar. We know it as Easter. There is a name connection. People say, "Oh, well, we celebrate Easter." We're not celebrating a fertility goddess, but why do we have a connection with a pagan goddess, even just by name? I refuse to call it Easter. I would rather choose Resurrection Sunday. These Ashtoreth poles, they're all phallic symbols. They're all obelisks. And we see obelisks all over the world. Like it or not, obelisks have a connection to a pagan society that goes back to the fertility goddess Ishtar. And we took all the cities at that time. There was not a city which we took not from them. Three score cities. They took 60 cities. That's a lot. All these cities were fenced with high walls, and gates, and bars, and we utterly destroyed them, as we did to Sihon, king of Heshbon. We destroyed the men, women, and children of every city. But all the cattle, they took as spoil from the victories of their battles. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. And so the Bible records it was 13 and a half feet long. And this land which we possessed at that time from Aror, which is by the river Arnon, and half of Mount Gilead, and the cities thereof gave I to the Reubenites and to the Gadites. Remember this? Moses reminds them how Reuben and Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh were granted their request to keep this side of the Jordan River for their cattle because it was such good grazing land. They ended up, as Moses reminds them, that they went over to fight, but then they came back over to this side. Um, and this land was called the land of the giants. It says that Og was the last of these giants. Well, if the giants came from the Nephilim, which were spirits, fallen angels, I believe there's still Nephilim today. They may take on the form of giant, and we've seen that in some of the historical, we just saw these excavations. But, what about Nephilim today? Can they take on other forms rather than just giants? I think they can, and they have. Um, uh, he gave Gilead to Machir's Joseph's. Machir was the son of Manasseh, grandson of Joseph, the father of Gilead. But I gave Gilead even to the river Arnon, half the valley, and the border even to the river Jabbok. Here, so these three rivers that they crossed over, and Og, king of Bashan, was the last of this area. Now, and I commanded you at that time, saying, um, Yahweh Eloheka has given you the land to possess it. You shall pass over armed for your brethren, the children of Israel, all that are meet for the war. But your wives and your little ones and cattle shall abide in your cities, which I've given you. This is where he's telling Gad and Reuben, yes, you go armed before and fight in the land of Canaan, and then you can go back to your little ones and your animals on the east side of Jordan until Yahweh have given rest unto your brethren as well as unto you. So, you go fight, but then you're going to come back. The last verse of this lesson today is a good word for us concerning all of the enemies we face in the spirit realm today. This is the last verse. You shall not fear them, for Yahweh Eloheka, the Lord your God, he shall fight for you. This is where we end. Now, I want to ask you this question. What enemies are you facing today? Name them and declare your victory over them in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. What what enemy are you facing? Is it, and this will be a spiritual warfare. We're fighting a battle not of flesh and blood, but of demons and principalities. So your giants that you're facing might be jealousy, envy, hatred, unforgiveness, um, pride, um, and some sin against another person or against God. Declare victory over that and repent and be victorious. Remember, the battle belongs to the Lord. He will fight. You say, I can never forgive that person. Well, maybe you can't, but God can through you, in and through you. You can find victory over the giants. I had a T-shirt that said, "If there's a Goliath in front of you, there's a David inside of you." And so that's the way we should live, knowing that we have the power of Almighty Yahweh, our Heavenly Father, on our side. He will fight our battles. He may call us to do our part, and it may not be easy, but we must work with Him, in Him, through Him, live and move and have our being in Him, and He will give us the victory.
From the struggle there will come triumph. You are strong in my weakness. Out victory is mine, 'cause the battle is yours. I will dance in the midst of the fight. I will sing in the eye of the storm. I will shout, you are faithful forever. The victory is mine, 'cause the battle is yours. The victory is mine, 'cause the battle is yours.